Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. So today's episode, I'm going to be looking again at the totality of the Atropa ecosystem, and it's looking like it's getting ready to break out. To be honest, key levels are being tapped and broken on Atropa. So some that I was looking at last week, it's actually broken out of those levels. If we're looking at the weekly, so is Atropa itself going to now be a leader or a spear for Pulsechain in the way that pDAI was the leader? This doesn't mean one is taking over the other. As we know by now, they're heavily liquidity bonded, so they work in unison. So it could be now the time for Atropa to take charge and lead, and pDAI to be at the back of the pack, pushing everything along with it. So this is bullish for pDAI, and this is bullish for Pulsechain. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at some charts today. So I'll start bringing that up now. All right, so Pulsechain itself. Let's start with Pulsechain itself because Pulsechain's been it's been looking great. It's been looking really great. I mean, you look at the totality of this chart, you're just like, okay, maybe not. But in terms of recently, in the context of if we just look at it like this, has been looking great, right? So it had this massive downtrending wedge. Then we had the pDAI FUD storm, and all of Pulsechain just got turned upside down. And since then, it's been very bullish. So Pulsechain has pretty much pumped from the bottom a 2x, almost a 2.5x. It immediately sold off and broke back down through the trend line, but now it's pushed its way back up above the trend line. So we're kind of hoping that we can get some bullishness for Pulsechain itself, because once Pulsechain pushes along, the whole chain moves along because it's bonded with literally everything. So Wrapped Pulse is bonded with every single token, more or less. So we really do want to see Pulsechain taking off. But at the same time, if you've been an accumulator, these lows have been phenomenal. So during this, a lot of people left or quit the Atropa ecosystem. Big mistake. So now if we have a look at in the context of Atropa, so we can see, you can really see how they're moving in lockstep. So I've got my chart here. You can see the 29th of March was the all-time low for Pulsechain. And then I think it was, it was close to the 29th of March here as well. So we're on the 3-day. So it's kind of around about the same time. So this was the 29th of March here. So it's kind of similar, but it's been bullish, had a pullback bullish. So similar to what's happened with Atropa. So this is Atropa priced against Pulsechain. It's been bullish. It's had a pullback, and now it's been bullish again. So this particular wick here is, I do not recall seeing this wick. I do not recall seeing this candle or this wick. I don't know if I saw this in the stream last time or if I took note of it, but the one that took place on the 16th of April, that's gigantic. That is a $1.72 million candle. That's a $1.72 million in 1.72 million volume in 3 days. That's just phenomenal. So the previous biggest candle to Pulsechain was one of its first all-time highs, which was the 17th of August. That was just under $1 million. So now it's almost it's almost doubled that. So it's pretty much has doubled. So that's quite a phenomenal, and it's looking bullish. So to me, it's looking bullish. So against USD, it certainly looks a lot more bullish, but priced even against Pulsechain, it's looking really good. So if we have a look at some of these key levels, I'll get my little. So these are some key levels here, and what it's done is this was two previous all-time highs. So we had the first all-time high in the first Atropa ecosystem bullish cycle. Then it had a little bear cycle. Then it had another bullish phase, and then it topped out around about here. So this is when pDAI topped or almost topped to about 1 cent, and then it pulled back again, and then it came up and bounced, rejected off it, and see how it's, first of all, how it's really respecting this resistance, which then becomes a support. So it becomes resistance. The trend line is support. It goes and pushes through or bounces around that bounces around this price level around about 800 Atropa to Pulsechain, and then it pushes through with massive strength. So if you have a look at this candle here, it broke through with a lot of conviction. So two massive candles followed by the all-time high to Pulsechain. So this was the all-time close to the all-time high. Let's have a look here. And if I do another one here, yeah, so not quite the all-time high, but very, very close. Pulled back, came across, but either way, this became like the new kind of all-time high price against Pulsechain. Then obviously we had the massive FUD wave, everything that happened with pDAI. So it basically broke through. And again, look how it respected this particular level here. It respected this level through this region as it fell through the trend line. Again, massive pump off that trend line, then a massive dump through. Then again, it just gravitates back and forth through it. Then it smashed through it. That's a I don't know where I was or what I was doing, but that is like an insane candle. So let's have a look here. So this is when the liquidity would have been probably quite thin. Gosh, wow. That's I don't even know if that's a mistake or not. That's just phenomenal. That's 144x. That's a 144x candle in 3 days. That is just insane. So again, it's come back down and it's rejected it again and again. Another nice big fat candle off it. It's looking bullish against Pulsechain. That's what I'm seeing, because it's really bouncing off of this trend line and it's making its way towards bounced off this price level, making its way towards this trend line. So if it can break through this trend line and if it can break through this key level, this region here will be something that I'll most definitely be keeping my eyes on over the next few weeks to see where we are and whether or not this was a confirmation of another cycle within or another phase within the Atropa ecosystem. So I'm going to put this little circle here. So this region here that we're going to be looking at and keeping an eye on. So if it can break through there, then it's going to be extremely bullish for the Atropa ecosystem because it will be new all-time highs against Pulsechain. Now, the story it tells against the US dollar, this is the chart that I was looking at last week. Now, I was looking at these key levels, and again, so this is to the weekly now and to the US dollar. And I was saying, if we break through this kind of a region, it's looking like it's heading towards bullish. So it's broken out of this zone here, and it's now, to the weekly anyway. So let's now create another one here. So now we're just peeking through this particular level. So it's starting to look extremely healthy. So we're heading to, it's 0.5 cent at the moment. And so we're breaking through, it looks like we're breaking through this particular level. And on this particular chart to the US dollar, it's within the trend now. So it's smashed into the trend line. So 0.5 cent smashed into the trend line. And it's looking very, very bullish here too. So what we're probably potentially going to see is something along these lines. If it's confirmed bullish, it's probably going to come up to somewhere about here, retest the level and retest the trend and then take off. And then we could see something like this. So perhaps not this exaggerated. It'll probably do something a little bit more like this. Yeah, something along these lines is what we're hoping to see. And so we can start to see Atropa heading towards $1 for Atropa. So yeah, at the minute, 0.5 cent, it's looking pretty good. So now let's have a look at it in the ratio to pDAI. Now, what's really interesting about this, 33, lovely, love it, just love it, absolutely love it. Of course, we always love 33s on this channel. All good things happen in threes. So against pDAI, I'd even forgotten about a video that I did a long time ago where I was talking about Atropa to pDAI as 40 to 1. That was a ratio 40 to 1. I got caught in the ratio of 7.5 to 1 based on Amsterdam that I had seen. I'd totally forgotten about the 40 to 1. So that was about a year ago. So there's definitely a lot of things where, I'm not going to say, oh, I had this massive alpha idea. I would have just taken an idea from a chat log that I would have seen or a comment that I would have seen somewhere and made a video on it. So I'm not entirely taking credit for it or anything like that, but I'd totally forgotten about it until somebody reminded me about that video. So that's really cool to see. So if it gets back down to this level, I'm not too sure. Maybe in this particular phase of the Atropa ecosystem, maybe by the end of this cycle, it's supposed to hover around here. Maybe this is what it's going to do. And then maybe heading into the next cycle, it starts to come back down into here. And maybe that could be part of what contributes to pushing the P stables up. Because the Atropa ecosystem is still very much, in my heart and in my mind, a big part of the P stables narrative. So obviously PMaker's been nuked, it's dead. If you've been living under a rock in Pulsechain, or if you're watching this video late and you didn't even know that, so PMaker's dead. So the $1 narrative, according to PMaker, is gone. There's been a fork of PMaker. I'm going to go through those videos. I'm going to go through that content and create a video on that in the future. It's definitely on my list of videos to do. But I've always looked at it from the perspective of the way that Maria's looked at it, because I've always been looking at the Atropa ecosystem, and Maria always spoke about P stables. So even in Zurich, in Amsterdam, he spoke about P stables. In other words, the three tokens, so pDAI, PUSDC, and PUSDT. And recently, he's been focusing a lot on PUSDT with Treasury bill. So for me, the narrative is not dead. Also, the evidence, or part of the evidence for me, is in his GitHub. So in his GitHub, what have I got here? So I'll go to his addresses.sol. So in his GitHub, he's got, he basically shows the Treasury token minter. So this was experimental. He's updated 5 months ago, so it's quite old. But still, this has always remained in this position. So there's been the debt address, the Atropa address, and the Trebizond address. So the Trebizond address, I'm going to have to look into the Trebizond address even as a curiosity for a video. This used to feature in the original chat logs. The Trebizond address is supposed to be a wallet. Actually, you know what? It's supposed to be a wallet address that he was going to donate or sell to Richard. And this would be like the Treasury for Pulsechain or something along these lines. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to get too distracted on this. I will look into that. So Trebizond. Let me just quickly take a screenshot so I don't forget. Capture, and I'll move that to the side so I don't forget. I want to write that in my diary later and in my list of content. I've got a whole list of content. So yeah, and always at the top, pDAI, PUSDC, and PUSDT. And even if you look at the Atropa ecosystem, pDAI, PUSDC, the first two liquidity pools, and then pDown. So now, since the whole FUD wave, pDAI, basically 6.7 billion in the liquidity pool, 6.7 billion tokens in the liquidity pool, with Atropa, which has 203 million, which is basically 50% of the supply, because 50% of the total supply, so it used to be 1.1 billion, then 50% of the supply got burnt, so now it's just over 500 million. And so 203 million is in liquidity with DAI. That means about 40% of the liquidity is in, 40% of the token supply, or the existing token supply, is in liquidity with pDAI. So it still plays a massive, massive part, and it's still something that I'm very, very interested in moving forward, no matter what. I find it an endlessly fascinating ecosystem with an endlessly fascinating narrative with all kinds of mysteries and things to explore. So now we'll see how this kind of plays out. So at the moment, it's 33. Like I said, I'll have to go back on that video of the 40 to 1 and see what it was. Again, when I would have watched that, $40, I would have thought from the perspective of probably more than likely Atropa itself being $40 and thinking, that's a cool target. Not necessarily 40 to 1 with pDAI. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. So pDAI also has been very bullish. Now, could this bullishness have something to do with the Atropa ecosystem? I would say more than likely yes. I would say more than definitely yes. Even if you just look at these last 3 candles, they are, again, identical to this. So Atropa is definitely having a nice renaissance now. It's definitely having a massive recovery. I'm very happy about it. I hope you're also happy about it. The other thing that I began to look at towards the end of the last bull phase with the Atropa ecosystem was Atropa to down, because down is the 3rd biggest liquidity pool, so it plays a massive role. So one thing that I continuously noted was whenever down was going up against Atropa, it was a bullish phase, bullish to bearish. And then when it was going down, it was the opposite. Now, it also entered phases or different periods where basically when it was going sideways, like this region here, this was a bullish phase for the Atropa ecosystem. So the Atropa ecosystem was going down, but against down, it was going sideways. But whenever it's going down, then that is generally bullish for the Atropa ecosystem. So now we're seeing massive sell candles. So down looks to be getting sold into Atropa, or basically just the ratio of Atropa is moving in a bullish way that's forcing this particular ratio down against down. So this also is another sign, an indicator to me that things are starting to look bullish again for the Atropa ecosystem. So let me just get a little arrow. I mean, yeah, it's pretty obvious, but where's my favorite arrow? So this particular arrow. So this means bullish for the Atropa ecosystem, which is obviously exactly what we're seeing. So it's just another ratio that we have a look at to confirm the direction of the chart. So now, the other one, teddy bear. So we're just going to have a look at the main ones. Teddy bear is, I mean, it's holding up. It's holding up. So this is against Pulsechain. It's holding up. It's holding up to these levels. What are some other levels that we want to see it get to? So this is another massively key level right here. So as you can see, it's really gravitated within this area. So it struggled to break through. It pushed through once, came back down. And obviously the whole narrative around the teddy bear has been, it's really taken a hit because of because of what, I mean, honestly, the crypto kings it was a big loss for teddy bear. It was a really, really big loss for teddy bear. They really did a fantastic job, an amazing job at onboarding people to teddy bear. And I always respect them and love them for that. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody does things that are not good and good, whatever. I don't care, but they are a big loss for teddy bear. They're a big loss for the Atropa ecosystem. There's no doubt about that. Their influence is a massive loss. But even still, it's surviving. It's surviving. And in teddy bears, we trust. In the original teddy bears, we trust. And I do think and I do believe that because now Maria is a number 2 holder of teddy bear, that teddy bear also being the one that he wants to protect the teddy bear. He wants to protect it. So I also believe that this is going to see some kind of bullish momentum coming into the future, because Maria as a holder now, or Hamad as a holder now, is something that he himself is going to be interested in. So I could see something like this happening in the near future. So whether it does or not, I have no idea. It could be the complete opposite. It could end up going like this. It could continue to go sideways. We don't really know what's going to happen. It all really depends on where the rest of Pulsechain goes, where the rest of the Atropa ecosystem goes. Now, what's really positive about all of this was, one of the things that I was mentioning for quite a while was, we're not really going to be seeing anything too bullish until we see the macro of, well, really macro go bullish. And we have seen macro go, well, really extremely bullish. So if we have a look, actually, if you have a look at the stock market, so the stock market topped out towards the end of April, 2/3 of the way of April, and then it has created a lower high. And now it's looking like it's about to create a lower low. So the gold is selling off. So this is liquidity rotating from assets. So this is what the big boys are doing. And if you look at the stock market, for example, so I've got it up here. So where's my trusty stock market? So the stock market is cryptocurrency. Here we go, US 500. So the stock market is also looking very bullish. So this was, holy shit. I mean, it's looking extraordinarily bullish. So there's a gap here, and it's smashed through these levels here, and it's having a little pullback in this particular. Am I on the daily or the weekly here? So it's on the daily. So it's having a little bit of a pullback, but yeah, it's looking very, very bullish. It's heading back towards the all-time high. So this is really, really good. And then obviously this is also happening with Bitcoin. So now this is Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin, the ETH BTC ratio. So this means basically liquidity from Bitcoin is flowing into Ethereum. And one of the big ideas that people have had is that when Ethereum pumps, Pulsechain pumps. So definitely something to keep an eye on with this. So this is a ratio that I've been keeping an eye on. So shout out to Somi for always for the alpha. Honestly, it's just endless, ridiculous, endless alpha. So yep, this is Bitcoin, it's broken through these particular levels. It's looking bullish again. This looked to be like it was the bottom. So this is something that Moon King was talking about a lot. So love him or hate him, he's extremely accurate with his TA, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. And so it rejected this. It's been bullish, and it's looking like we're in a bullish phase again. One of the things that I was talking about was whether or not this was a top and we don't break through this. That possibility is always there. That possibility is most certainly always there, but it does look like it's going to continue to be bullish, given that the rest of the macro environment is looking bullish. You can also see here the stablecoin dominance is dropping. And so this was a key level with the stablecoin dominance. You can see it here. It bottomed here. So this was a key level here. You can see it right here. And so it bottomed here, and then it started to trend down, which means that stablecoin dominance is going down, which means that stablecoins are flowing into other assets, in this case, obviously Bitcoin. So this is a nice little indicator that somebody showed me here. So this is a nice sign and a clear sign of bullish momentum. And so this is my particular target and time frame. So around about early November, 180K for Bitcoin. So because everything in the wider crypto market is looking bullish, then it also looks like everything with the Atropa ecosystem is looking bullish. I mean, just look at this. Just look at that chart. It's looking really good. It's looking really, really good, really, really healthy. So another thing that I wanted to share in the interest of basically cool little coincidences. So this is gold standard. And so gold standard is, it's 2,500, but it was kind of close to the price of gold for a very short period of time. So this is gold standard paired against Ojun. So just an interesting thing to keep an eye on, because I always figured gold standard would perhaps be some kind of bear market hedge. So in the same way that you see gold as a risk off asset, I'm wondering if gold standard becomes a risk off asset and becomes bullish in the bear market for Pulsechain and the cryptocurrency market. So this is definitely something that I'll be keeping my eye on. This is a ratio somebody brought to my attention today, so I just wanted to share. This is another cool little sign. And in future episode that I'm going to want to do is this particular token. So let's have a look at this. We'll get this translated for you guys. So Ironclad, I think it was Ironclad. Translate into English. Give me a second here. So this token says, or what it translates to is first work collections. So Maria in the chat log somewhere said that if you want to really understand the core of the Atropa ecosystem, then you should understand this. So this is definitely going to be something that I'm going to be doing a deep dive on in the coming weeks. There's a part of me that almost doesn't want this to be bullish yet. It doesn't want this to be bullish yet, because just now that I'm starting to sink my teeth into the Treasury, I want things to stay low. And I always talk about things staying low, and people don't like that. But there's a very specific reason for that, is because when you start to understand, or now that I've really started to understand how percentages of tokens in liquidity changes the way things move, that really makes me want to sink my teeth more into the Treasury system, and why that's such an effective, beautiful ecosystem, and how it can work. So one thing about the Treasury system the way that it's going to buffet or potentially buffet the downside pressure, I'll make another episode on that as well, actually, because I just think that it's probably a 5 or 10 minute episode. That's good on its own. This I just want to keep into Atropa, and I just want to mention this. So if you yourself want to have a look at this, I'll post the contract address in the chat, and I'll go through the chat in just a moment. I might have double tapped it there. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, even straight up, you can see 23.8. So yeah, have a look at this. Have a look at this. So it's very similar to Atropa. As a matter of fact, so it's 49 tokens, so almost 50. And then it's got 23 in liquidity with this particular token. So then that mirrors almost this. So 108 or 800. Sorry, that's liquidity pools. Hang on, sorry. Give me a moment. So total liquidity pools. Sorry, my mistake. Combined, so tokens in liquidity is 68. So it's about a third in liquidity with, about a third with this token. And then same as this. So we've got 362 in liquidity. So 2/3 here. So basically it's got this one big pool, and then it's got 3 reasonably big pools. So it's got 2 reasonably big pools, and then it goes a lot smaller. So it scales down a lot. So same as this. Interesting that the base amount in these is quite unusual, that this has less but more liquidity than this. That doesn't really make too much sense. So that'll be something that I'll look into. So yeah, this is something that Maria suggested. To understand this, you'll understand the core of the Atropa ecosystem. So I'm definitely going to try and do a deep dive on this, and I'll use this as an example to go through the ratios and the liquidities, because obviously, again, as a very clear thing, it's very clear, right? So when pDAI pumps, Atropa pumps. So Atropa wouldn't even get pumped. It was basically all flowing through pDAI. You could see it, but it was lifting up Atropa, which was lifting up the whole entire Atropa ecosystem. Why? Because it's its largest liquidity pool. So then it's bonded in liquidity. So in other words, when you look at something like the Treasury system, if you want to create a liquidity set or a liquidity web, the thing that you think is going to move the fastest, if you want to mint more of those tokens and get the arbitrage opportunity, you would put that as the biggest liquidity pool. So I'll do a nice little video explaining that process in a very clear way. I just, again, want to keep introducing the same concepts and repeating myself again and again, because I feel like that's how we all learn together. So let's just go back to some of these beautiful charts while I finish up the readings here. Oh, actually, I want to have a look at one more, because I've always been interested in, well, BFF that the late against pDAI, not looking too flash, but it's, well, I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? It's definitely at a bottom, isn't it? So I want to have a look at where is it? Hot X to Hex. Let's have a look at this. Hot X to Hex. Oh, nice. So Hot X is bouncing off the bottom, which is good to see. So it's just getting lifted up with the Atropa ecosystem. Nice. Okay, so yeah, it's not looking too bad, but considering I was talking about it up here, it's still pretty bad. So well, it depends if you swapped. If you were swapping up here, which is something that I was doing, then I'm massively down on my hex, massively. But I do anticipate, I mean, that's a long-term stake. I can consider it to be like a long-term lock away. So if HotX keeps going up and keeps going up, then eventually I'll just get a little bit of that hex yield in that process, hopefully. But yes, it's most certainly not an ideal situation. So XUSD as well, obviously not part of the Atropa ecosystem, but being in the team, I always keep this on my front page, and this is going to be something I need to do. I do want to have a chat with some of the team and go over some of the changes. I'm still waiting for the docs to be released on the website so I can go over the docs, but I definitely want to have a look at the new reward system for that as well. So I won't go into too much more detail. I'm going to go through some of these questions, and I'm going to keep it on this chart because it's a gorgeous looking chart. Atropa Eco was in a scary place not so long ago. Been crazy seeing it bounce back so much, especially the Fed. Yeah, I mean, the Fed, boy, you know, what a transformation the Fed was. I mean, seeing those ratios on the Fed and the way that it's recovered, hey, wow, all right. So Fed is looking really good. Really good. So it's had a 20%, almost a 20% pump today. So I'll let that load. So yeah, the Fed The Fed's had all the attention with the Treasury. Be back on replay when I'm home. Good on your HexG unit. What's going on, Richard? Richard, when I see a giant candle wick like an Atropa, it makes me think someone made a mistake, sold, and then bought back quickly. You know, probably did, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So there was a lot of volume that would have happened on there. There would have been, the whole FUD wave and everything that happens in that. Oh, damn, it failed to look. Damn. Anyway, get over it. So now I got to redo all the lines and everything, and it's just a pain, man. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's getting close to the parity. Can you believe it? Can you actually believe it? So this particular website is fantastic, Yogi. So I'm going to do another little tutorial on this. I won't do it in this stream. I want to keep it reasonably short, and then I'll do another little tutorial on this. So I had made some mistakes, but basically, to summarize, if you didn't see it, this works perfectly. The thing that I got wrong was I didn't have it connected to Pulsechain. It was connected to Ethereum. That's why nothing would mint. So yeah, the process is actually a lot simpler. So I'm going to do another little episode on that, another little tutorial on that one. But yeah, have a look at this. So Fed, because it's a T-bill 1. We'll see how close it is to parity here. I mean, you can see it in the chart, but this also gives you a really good indication. So if you do believe that it's going to get to parity, and you're looking at it going, I'm thinking it's going to get to 1. I mean, for me, it looks like it's inevitable that it's going to get 1-to-1. It used to be all the way to up here. When you have a look at that journey, that's insanity. You know what I mean? That's just crazy. That is just crazy. It's done. Yeah. I mean, I get confused by these big numbers. So what is that? That's 603,000%. So if it's 603,000%, it's like, what's that? That's like a 6,000x or something like that. That's crazy, man. That's insane. So if you think it's going to get 1-to-1, which I feel it's inevitable. I feel it's like a key part of the workings of the Treasury system. So Maria could very, 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 Maria could very, very easily get this. Maria could very, very easily just wick this up to 1-to-1 if he wanted to. Hamad could do that. He owns 478 billion Treasury. So he could just sell Treasury into Fed and it would just go bing, 1-to-1. So for me, this is just like, yeah, if you want to get some of that Treasury from Maria and he ends up gifting you with that kind of scenario, then that swap from Treasury to Fed, even if it's just, what are the X's here? Even if it's just, this is how we talk now. When you see a 6,000X, it's not even just starting to get, it's kind of lagging here. I'm not too sure why. It never usually lags this much. But it's 0.16 and it has to get to 1-to-1. So it's like what's that? That's a 5? Or no, that'll be about like a 6 or a 7x. So let's just have a look. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's about a 6x, which is really, really nice. So if you had 1 million Treasury bill, you swap that, you get 6 million Fed. It goes 1-to-1, and then you swap that back into the Treasury bill, and then you can have 6 million Treasury bill, for example, or you could go half and half, whatever you want to do. But for me, it's an inevitability that it's going to get to 1-to-1. I just think Hamad just wants to see us, how we're interacting with the Treasury, and he was the one that wrecked it. He's the one that can fix it. That's the way that I see it. So nuclear, so tired of winning. Oh man. Yeah, I never lost faith. So yeah, too much glory in this ecosystem, too much synchronicities, too many things. One thing, I'd be considered crazy by many people, but I can sense the future. So it's not like I'm not a Nostradamus. I'm not boasting about being Nostradamus. This is just like some kind of capacity that the universe has given this completely regular, ordinary person, but being able to sense the future and I suppose it maximizes the amount of synchronicities that I have. But just knowing, I can feel that that's what the future is going to be. I don't know exactly how it's going to be. It's not like, oh, it's going to get there on this date on September 19, 2030. I can't predict that. It's not like that kind of a thing, but just being able to sense, that's the direction things are going, and just knowing, just there's just like a knowing. There's just this knowing with universe mind. That's really all I could say. So yeah, for me, I never lost faith in the Atropa ecosystem. It's always been something that, the clearer my mind gets, the clearer everything within the Atropa ecosystem gets. And it's been one hell of a journey. So Atropa to Dora, and then to $7.5 Dora. I find it funny, Crypto 7 has been attacking pDAI again in the last couple of days. I don't understand the hate anymore. Now it's no longer exploitable. Yeah, Puffy, the hate is very simple. The hate comes from people who want everybody to be talking about what they hold. It starts and ends there. It starts and ends there. That's really all it is. So people will say it's for the betterment of the chain. It's for the betterment of this. It's whatever. No, let's cut the crap. It's for the betterment of me. That's what it always comes down to. The root cause of everything, every person's comments, desires, functions as a human being is me. So if you understand that fact that humans live in their own mind world and they're fundamentally self-centered, then you just know, oh, yeah, you can just see where their comments are coming from. It's very, very simple. Fed, stew. Yes, sir. Fed. Looking so damn good. Is that Stewie? Is that Stewie that I had on? Is that Stew, or is it a different Stew? But either way, what's going on, Stew? Puffy, I imagine he's literally clutching at straws for something to talk about, as he seems pretty irrelevant to any conversation. Yeah, C7, but Crypto 7 was so good in the bear market. He was so good. He streamed every day. He always tried to bring positive vibes. So I've got time and love for C7. I don't really care. So yeah, I hope he does well, and I hope he gets to go to, I think it's Monaco. So what up, my bros? Now is the time. So let's have a look. I had a friend I onboarded who has been out of the loop for a few months. He's asking me what happened to pDAI price. I've arranged an entire evening to bring him up to speed. Richard, you kind of need to do that, man. I also want to do like an overview of everything that happened, because also there's been developments, and only want to do an overview of everything to show, oh, these are the developments. That's all I'm interested in, solutions. I'm not interested in problems. I'm interested in solutions. Everybody and their dog can complain and say what's wrong and just bitch and moan about everything into the void, and it goes into nowhere. No one ever answers that. No one really ever cares. Everybody's got their own complaints. Everybody's got their own victim mind. Everybody and their dog can say that. Solutions is where things get interesting. Solutions is all that I'm interested in. What's the point of complaining if you're not going to provide a solution? So yes, we love the core coins. We also want them to go up, but yeah, I mean, we just want all of Pulsechain to win on coexistence, Steven. So Hexologist Heart, what's going on? And Belter, peace to all friends who already... no, let's ignore this comment. So that's definitely, I believe... Wow. So fam, just be mindful of these. I'll bring this up as a warning. So friends who already bought XA1 in the pre-sale, it's very profitable to buy tokens in the pre-sale, ? I don't know what that token is, and I see these kinds of questions on like Somi's YouTube comments all the time. So now it seems like I'm going to start to attract more scammers as well. I saw my Twitter account got duplicated by a scammer as well. I'm like, yes, I made it. ICO confused. The huge candle was your leader pulling liquidity and bridging out. You remember that? Pulling and selling, dumping live in front of your own bag holders. Classy, huh? Yes, ICO confused. That has been most definitely... oh, God. Oh, so there's a whole conversation of ICO confused, complaining and bitching. Really not interested in that. We've covered that so many times. Let's have a look if there's any comments actually worth validating here. How big is Bear's role in Atropa? So Bear backs the Treasury. So if you believe in the Treasury system, Bear backs the Treasury. That's at least what Hamad's statements are. So complaints and crying, complaints, crying, complaints. So mint Treasury for Fed, right? Not the other way around. So Mbelta, at the moment, no. So you're basically just selling Treasury for Fed. Let's have a look here. And, you know, ICO confused. Look, man, you know, I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm sick and tired of answering the same things about people crying about Hamad. If that's what you think, then I don't think that you've done your research. That's all I'll tell you. But if you've lost money on it because you sold and you cheated, you have nobody else to blame but yourself. If you're down on your bags, you have nobody else to blame on yourself, because at one point you probably were up and you didn't take out your initials, so you have nobody else to blame but yourself. So there's no point crying, because it's not really going to get you a solution. I'm sorry to say, as harsh as that is, I'm saying that because it's really just empty, pointless words that mean nothing to no one. So here, and Belter, so when it's above, you would burn Treasury bill to mint Fed, and that's when you would get a profit in arbitrage. At the moment, you basically just sell Treasury bill for Fed, because Treasury bill is more valuable than Fed. So what's going on for Tina? Haven't seen you on for a while. And Stevens, his over investment into Maria. He wants you all to be his exit liquidity because he's balls deep. Balls deep. It's one of my favorite sayings. Yeah, you know, that crossed my mind. What is my me? I've already spoken about my me many times. I often talk about things that I don't even own. The Atropa ecosystem is something that I'm interested in from totality, from a system perspective. So yeah, make sure to try and understand my mindset a little bit better. But yes, most definitely, I also have a me that wants all of Pulsechain to win. But my primary me is to help people like you come out of your mind world. And that's the most important thing about this channel. And so all of these other things are just vehicles towards that. So I love the Atropa ecosystem. I had plenty of opportunities to swap out, and I have other tokens as well, but it's still the only thing that's the most interesting to me. Mandala ecosystem is very interesting. I like the systems. That's what I'm interested in. So thanks, Condor. I appreciate you too, man. Have fun waiting for you so you can leech off that. Good on you, Muddy. All right, so all right, fantastic. I'm going to leave it at that. Not too long today. Everybody, thank you very much for joining. RCO Confused. I'm really sorry that you feel that way. Definitely have a look at some different kinds of content and look outside of your emotion. So take some emotional control and see, okay, why did this actually happen? What happened here? What were the series of events that led to this, and why did it happen? So instead of just automatically taking the negative perspective, which all the majority of the influencers are taking without doing any research or having any understanding whatsoever of the Atropa ecosystem, try to look beyond that and see beyond your own feelings and see what could actually be happening here and why. And then you might get a more clearer answer. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. Take care.